Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me. This session is going to be about career in biomedical science. It's the most asked question, and I thought this is the best way for me to share information regarding this topic. So thank you for joining me, and thank you for your time, and let's start. So as you know, my name is Aida Noor. I'm a biomedical scientist and an author. And today's session, before I start, this webinar is a pure contribution to the students community and anyone who is interested to become a biomedical scientist in the UK. And the reason I'm sharing this is because the difficulty in starting a career in biomedical sciences, so it can be challenging. And I want to help as many people out there because I know how the whole process is, because I've been through it myself in order to qualify as a biomedical scientist. So today's session, I'm going to introduce you, I'm going to tell you more about myself briefly, and what do biomedical scientists do. We always refer to it as a BMS. Everything is acronymed here. So biomedical scientists is BMS. So I'll be using that title all throughout the session. Why do we care about biomedical scientists, and how do you become a biomedical scientist? I'll be also explaining the importance of networking and connecting, because I truly believe it goes a long way, and that's from my personal experience. Also to raise awareness about job markets, that the job market is changing, so should you. And I also shared my personal side, the personal side of my story in my career in my first book. And also I'll be sharing more content regarding all of the above, so stay tuned. So I'm a biomedical scientist and recently an author, so I'm passionate about writing. So I've got a biomedical and biochemistry degree. So my first degree is not in biomedical science, and then I gained a master's in biomedical sciences, and last year I've gained a postgraduate certificate in healthcare management. I truly believe as a scientist you need to be multidisciplinary. That's purely my opinion. That's why now it's apparent it's a good thing to have more than one discipline. And I truly believe that's going to be from now forward. So you can't just stick to one discipline anymore. I'm not going to talk more about that, but it's something that's happening at the moment. For me, my career journey started after graduating, particularly after my master's degree. I started straight after I finished my master's I worked as a research scientist in a scientific research company, in particular drug discovery. And then I wanted to explore the clinical side of my career in diagnostic laboratory. So I wanted to become a biomedical scientist. Most of my work experience is in the private sector, and also I have NHS experience, but mostly it's in the private sector. And I always get asked which is better, and I've already written about it, and I also share my side of the story because it's very interesting. I'm very glad that I started in the private sector because that did benefit me in the long run. So what do BMSs or biomedical scientists do? If you Google it, you will find exactly the same. There's no any other explanation. So we basically conduct and investigate or carry out a range of laboratory or scientific tests to support disease diagnosis, treatment, and monitoring of a wide range of diseases. Typically, you will specialize in one of four areas, either infection sciences or blood sciences, cell sciences or genetics, and molecular pathology. I specialize in infection sciences, also known as microbiology. To become qualified in biomedical sciences in the UK, you need to gain the required qualifications that need to be accredited by the Institute of Biomedical Sciences, also biomedical science, also known as IBMS. And you need to become registered by the Healthcare Professions Council. So these two things, you always have to remember, the IBMS and the HCPC. As I mentioned earlier, everything is acronymed, so everything abbreviated, so get used to it. So this is my desk. I always like to take a picture of where I was, or at the end of any position. So this is how it typically looks in an automated laboratory. It doesn't stay tidy all the time. There's actually a bit of work left over, so that's how it is. So yes, I just like to take a picture. But any workstation in the laboratory is going to be like this. You have a screen. You've got all the. That's how a typical workbench will look like. So the role of biomedical scientists is crucial in disease diagnosis. A doctor cannot prescribe the right treatment or complete the disease diagnosis without your side of the process. So you help you carry out all these tests on different samples or specimens, either tissue or fluids, and that helps the clinicians to diagnose or offer the correct treatment. Also, it helps them to evaluate how effective the treatment is. Is it working? Is it not? So your work as a biomedical scientist is extremely important, and it's very important, particularly, for example, in operating theaters, in accident emergency or A&E. And also you'll be working on medically important diseases such as cancer, AIDS, diabetes. Also you'll be monitoring or screening other range of diseases, or any emergency such as blood transfusion. So a patient might be waiting for blood transfusion. So your role as a biomedical scientist, regardless what discipline you belong to, is crucial, is very important. You're basically saving lives. I like to have images on everything. So what I've just explained earlier, this is the process from the time the doctor orders for the test to the time the report is sent back to the clinician. So you as a patient, you go to the doctor, you complain over any symptoms that's causing you discomfort or the illness, and the doctor will, based on your symptoms, will order for the test. He will ask you for either for you to provide the specimens such as urine or swab or something, or you go to the phlebotomy and they draw blood from you. So that specimen, once it's collected from yourself, the specimen will be sent to the laboratory with the correct test ordered, goes to the laboratory, gets tested, and you carry out the right tests, and then the results will be ready for analysis, and then you will send the report back to the doctor. The doctor will make the decision, and that way the whole disease diagnosis process is complete. So you can be a biomedical scientist. Like myself, I had a scientific, a different degree. I had biochemistry, you might have biology, you might have any degree. However, the route to become qualified is not straightforward and fairly lengthy sometimes. And at the moment, it's becoming very competitive to put your foot, at the door, in the room, or whatever. But however, it's a doable process. And also, this is my point. I want you to appreciate that being a biomedical scientist or healthcare scientist opens up many opportunities beyond your role in the laboratory, in healthcare in general, particularly that healthcare is going through a huge disruptive transformation accelerated by technology and automation. So you might hear, or you might have heard, automation and machines are going to take our jobs. No, they are actually going to make our lives easier. However, this is from my observation, there will be new jobs appearing. So it's very important to have an open mindset, to have look out for what opportunities. When I made the decision to choose a different specialty than going through the traditional route, I saw there's many opportunities out there in health tech. You don't have to be a programmer. There's many roles you can have. So bear that in mind. Again, I always like taking pictures. So this was me when I was an assistant. I was at the turning point. Will I ever be qualified or not? So this is just a reminder that it is a journey, but it's doable. So this is just a reminder for me. Just my colleague was taking a picture for a portfolio. So I kept that picture. She sent it to me, so I kept it for my memory as a reminder to, you know, I just love taking pictures, hence I'm a content creator. So now the big question, how do you become a biomedical scientist in the UK? As I said, it's a process, it's a journey, but it's doable. I'm talking about the longer way. There's a straightforward, you go for training position and that's it, but that's not happening at the moment. So number one, you need to have genetic. This is the website where you look at for all the information. You need to be registered as a biomedical scientist with the HCPC, and that is explained in the IBMS, or Institute of Biomedical Science website. I also would recommend joining the Institute of Biomedical Science. You become a member, or because there's loads of information out there. It's good to stay in the know. I'm still a member, even though I'm not working full time, but I'm still a member to, it's worth it for me. That's how I found out about my my latest certificate. So what do you need to do? There's two things. You need a degree to be accredited by the IBMS or HCPC approved degree. And then you need a training portfolio, which basically the IBMS are testing you that you're competent. And then once you pass all what's needed from you, then you'll be ready to be registered as a scientist. So degree, portfolio, which I'm going to explain in the next slides. So the degree, it can be the easiest or the hardest, depending where you come from. You might maybe you've got your degree accredited and everything, and you don't need, you only need to inform the IBMS. However, you need to contact the IBMS to find out, because that's how the process is, and your degree will be assessed. One thing I will definitely advise you, keep all your syllabus, all your contents about your course, because they will require that from you. I'm not sure if you're fully accredited, they need that, but this is my advice, because also they will need it to be stamped by the university. They never used to before, a couple of years ago, but now they need that. So make sure that you have all the information with you. If it's not translated, get that translated. Because it can be a lengthy process. So the first thing is contact the IBMS and get your degree assessed, because that can be a lengthy process. And then you will need, once you've done your assessment, they might ask you for top-up modules, or they might say, go ahead, that's fine. You need to find a laboratory to get trained. So you will need an IBMS training portfolio. You can only achieve that when you are in a laboratory. Which I will explain in the next step. I'm just telling you the process. You can do both at the same time. You can do the top-up and the portfolio together. And then once that's done, you get awarded by the IBMS, and then you contact the HCPC so that you are put by the register. The biomedical scientist is a protected title. You cannot say I'm a biomedical scientist without being registered, because that's going to be illegal. It's a protected title, same as dietitian, and you've got, I think, 16 titles that are protected under IBMS. So if anyone says I'm a biomedical scientist, you're practicing illegally. So this is the most challenging part as well, because you need the laboratory, so who will order the portfolio for you, and then you do the training in the laboratory. And once you complete that, then you get assessed by the IBMS. So the IBMS do all the work. They give you're in a hospital. The training officer will order for your portfolio, and your portfolio will be, you will work with the training officer, and you'll be doing your training there. It's the newer version is much easier than the older version, so it's a very good time now. You can do both. You can do your training portfolio, and you can do the top-up modules together, and you can get qualified. So they can be done together. As I said, it's the most challenging part, because you need to get a job in order to be in the laboratory who will be helping you to become trained. The typical routes, there's 3 different titles. There's a trainee biomedical scientist, or associate practitioner, also referred to as AP. or medical laboratory assistant, also referred to as an MLA. This is the most challenging position to find, or maybe you've already been looking for it. It's highly competitive, and the same if you're outside London. It might be less competitive. I'm not sure about the situation now. But there's other two positions where you can apply and you can voluntarily do your training position, your training portfolio, associate practitioner, which is 50 lab assistant or 50 training biomedical scientist, or like the medical laboratory assistant, which I have done. It can be longer or shorter depending on which department or what hospital or what training you're offered, or the staffing or the availability of the training officer, or if there was other people training before you or with you. But again, it's a doable process because the portfolio is not that difficult to complete, to be honest. So again, I like images. So if you think of the biomedical scientist at the top there, it's a band 5. There's a banding according to the NHS. And then below that, the training biomedical scientist, band 5-ish, I'm not sure. And then you've got associate practitioner, band 4, and then medical laboratory, band 2. There is band 3, excuse me. There's a band 2, but avoid there's no band 2. Some people go for band 2 if they don't have a degree, but we're talking about if you already have a degree. All I can say, it's all possible, but it gets easier the higher it gets. But this is the most common one I've seen a lot of people are doing now. There is advanced as well. The title, I'm losing count of the titles now, but just think of it that way. If you're looking for a position, these are the options that you have. Don't just focus on the top one. There's other 2 positions. This is kind of ideal because you have a higher chance compared to, but again, as I said, it totally depends on your situation. Just, it's a process, as I said. What if you're outside the UK? I would definitely advise you to contact the HCPC and the IBMS directly as soon as possible. At least because I get questions and they ask me, shall I contact now? I say yes, because why wait until you finish? Because it's good, at least you have an idea. Like I said, all your degrees will need to be assessed, and so it's quite a lengthy process. I think it can take up to 8 weeks. I'm not sure, but this is what I have heard. So as I said, it can be less or more depending on your qualifications. So how can you build up your laboratory experience? Very simple, an email or a call to introduce yourself. Approach the lab manager. I personally prefer the call because you get the answer there and then, and you can use your negotiation. You can say, can I come and see you? Can I, and speak to the lab manager directly, because they know what's going on in the lab and they know where they need help. Just be transparent from the beginning. That's where, as I mentioned in my book, the negotiation skills. And I have a story to tell you in my book, and I've already included everything. So as I said, this call or that approach can go a long way. I highly recommend it. Get out of your comfort zone. Don't do email. Just give them a call. Go on Google, find out who the lab manager is, and straight directly speak to them. Don't wait for a job. You can also volunteer or go for any temporary position, because it makes a huge difference. I've seen people who just went in as a volunteer or work experience and they've landed in a position. Because as I said, if there's an internal position, you're more likely to, you'll get the priority compared to, someone external. So there's also bank. You can work directly with the hospital or the laboratory. I didn't know that existed. That's how I started when things started moving for me. And then when there was an internal position part-time, I applied and I got it. And then that was it. The rest was history. So as I said, networking and connections really, really goes a long way. And I cannot emphasize enough the importance of being on LinkedIn. Up to this day, I'm still benefiting from LinkedIn. Don't wait like myself until you qualify. Because I've seen, up to this day, I see lecturers advertising, I see companies advertising, I see professionals advertising. There's loads of opportunities out there. They know the situation. They're more than happy to help. So don't wait until you graduate, or don't wait until you come to the UK. Start building your network and the connections from where you are. Make yourself known. Don't be shy. The earlier you do it, the better. if you have graduated and you started and you have no experience, it's never too late. I'm a big fan of this word, it's never too late. So this is very important, and I always say in any talks or seminars, the job market is changing, so should you. So my main advice is don't give up, keep going. Most of all, be patient, it's a process. And believe me, this whole thing transfers you, not just professionally, personally. And remember, the journey varies from one person to another. You can achieve your goals. All you need to do is believe in yourself, and you'll become unstoppable. And I'm a proven story. It is possible. I personally am so grateful for the valuable lessons that I have gained from this journey, not just personally, but also professionally. Not just as a scientist, there's other aspects that it has benefited me. So don't give up. And as I said, my book is available on Amazon, either on Kindle or the actual book. You might have seen my previous video, and I share everything there. I just thought this has to come out. It needs to inspire other people, because nobody tells you what's about the journey. You know the steps, but no one tells you what the personal side of it. So that's the main reason I've published my book. And stay connected. I'm very active on my social media. I'm active on LinkedIn, and I'm also active on Instagram, and recently TikTok, slowly. Also Twitter, and on my website, I share a lot of things on my blog. But again, on LinkedIn, I do share loads of thoughts there. So stay tuned. There'll be more content coming out. And thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach for me. And I do read the questions and the messages. Don't be shy. I'm more than happy to help. Yeah, other than that, I wish you all the best. And keep shining and keep inspiring. Take care, everyone.